Good afternoon or morning, agents across the country, superstar agents that are smart enough to use unique lead sources like ours. I appreciate everybody being on time today. We've got probably about 25 people on the call so far, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more coming on. Today is July 2nd, 2015, and this is our 31st Mastermind call. We have more information than usual for you guys this week, so I'm really appreciate everybody who did show up and who was on time. Three of the partners in our business are on the call, and I'm going to let Tim, our CEO, our new website, after it probably took Tim 3 or 4 hours to put that whole thing together, right, Tim? The new website, it rolled out as of yesterday. So I'm going to ask Tim to come on and tell you a little bit about the new website, the new technology, and anything else he would like to say. Tim?
Okay, great. So 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, that's probably right. No, obviously we've spent the last several months working on an entirely new, not just website, but more importantly, a whole new customer support system and a far better methodology for handling our folks. If you've been with us a while, you'll certainly see that there's a change from the old site to the new. Your username and password are the same. You have access to the same data that you had before. My partner, Chad, who's also on this call, is feverishly hard at work putting together a bunch of additional material in regard to training content and a lot of other stuff. But we were going to wait until the 4th of July to kind of make this an Independence Day from the old site going to the new one. But we decided we'd put it up now so that we could watch it over the last couple of days before the holidays so that we don't roll into the holidays with issues. So we're working on them. And Paula is not on the call, but Paula is the chief architect and designer for a lot of the stuff that we've done. So anything that we see that's interesting that's not supposed to be there, she takes care of quickly. If for any chance you see something that looks out of place or doesn't perform the way that you expect it to do, please be kind enough to give us a comment in the contact us area, and we'll be happy to deal with it quickly, and that's how we make this better for all of us. I think the thing that I've been the most excited about since we've started this whole project has been the growth of the sense of community that we have with not only ourselves, but with you, and this has grown so quickly. It certainly grew faster than we anticipated that it would, and we're delighted that that's happened, not only from a business standpoint, but it's great to build a community like this within the real estate industry, which is so filled, unfortunately, with folks that maybe aren't delivering everything they should or not getting the value that they wanted, and we're striving extremely hard to do that. So, like I said, if you'll let us know, we'll fix anything. The new site, from a feature functionality standpoint and your perspective, if you're already a subscriber, pretty straightforward. It may look better and look different, but the reality is that it's all new. The user area for subscribers is where we're now focusing a bunch of our time, and over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a tremendous amount of additional content appearing there. This also got us ready by doing this to be able to now start to get ready to deploy the next group of leads that we want to work on, and we're going to start with divorce as soon as we get a chance to get that out there and make sure that we've got the back end ready to support that with the additional information necessary to do that, which is the good training on how to deal with folks that are in the midst of that kind of a crisis in their lives, what to say, when to say it, what you can offer them, what you can talk to them about, and how best to deal with them, just like we're doing for probate. So as we grow the back end capability and create a system that is similarly done for you, it'll be on that site as well. You'll also notice there's a completely new design for the ability to order your mailings. The mailbox manager form has been redesigned, and we're working today to click the security piece on that. It actually is now working that way, but there's still a couple little challenges with the pages, but we've already had people order in the last couple of days on that, and by the end of the day, that'll be perfect as well. So if you want to order your mailings going forward, you certainly can do that. We're going through the existing orders to make sure that we have them correct and entered into the new system, and we're in process to get some printing done for that. So if you've ordered some mail and haven't been notified that it's gone out yet, know that we're working on that. We've just been buried up to our eyeballs getting this done, and It's a reasonable segue, and I'll finish this up by saying one of the things that we did to make sure that we are doing a better job as a company is to try to get as tight a control on everything that we do as possible. And part of that was that when we first started this, we tried a couple of different external services to do the mailings for us, services that have been out there for a while. And what we found is that because we're merging this data with with data from all over the country, and it's got to be done right, it needs to get done and get out the door the way it should, we decided to pull it back in-house, make the investment in not only the technology, but staffing and development work to get that done. So we just pulled it back inside to do that work. And anything that we can do and control, that's why we do that. We aren't just sitting on what we're doing to try to, write it out. We're doing the best we can to make sure that it gets better all the time. And that's an example of that. I know that Chad is on the phone now. And Chad, if you would take a couple of seconds and maybe run down a little bit of the list for some of the things that you're working on, and then I'll come back up maybe and kind of put a finish to this as we go forward. You want to talk a little bit about some of the things you're working on for content?
Sure. So as we roll out the new tools, I'm going to be updating existing content. One of the things that we find is a lot of people aren't really sure where to start. And if you have been in our Facebook Mastermind group and looked near the top, you've probably seen a playlist for fast track videos. When you first sign up, you also get a link to the fast track videos. And for the time being, those are made off of the old tools since we just rolled over this tool. So I'm going to be updating those and going through making them a little more specific this time. So you got, anyone that's new on the call, I'll email those out as soon as they're done. So you'll kind of have, a better roadmap for where to start and what to do first. Because what we've learned over the last 6 months really is that we've gotten more and more people involved in many different personality types, and from single agents to big mega teams. We've learned a lot about what we can do for you. One of the things you're going to see from me over the next few weeks is I'm looking for input. So, we've got a great system that works, but we never want to create tools that, I'll say this: I want to create the most valuable tools and training that I can for you guys. And if there's something that we're leaving out or is not, really clear to you when you first signed up or when you get halfway through the process, please raise your hand and just say, hey, Chad, could you do a little bit more on this, or could you make a video on this? And we'll do that. And, we're constantly testing and tracking different things. We're looking at, we're developing this whole thing around divorce. So the more feedback I can get from you guys, the better, training and resources we can produce. So the fast track videos will be the start of that. I'm working on developing our probate mastery training, which to date has just been a one-on-one. So it's 3 sessions of strategy, systems, and sales, and it's just me working one-on-one with your team or individual agents. And obviously, as we grow, there's only so many hours in a day. So we're working on developing group coaching formats. And I know that on past calls we've noticed there's a significant interest in that. So it'll be a format where we can all kind of get together on a webinar and go through each of those sessions and open a Q&A. And I think it's going to create an even better learning environment than the one-on-ones. And then we're also working toward getting everything that we do into a digital format. And, the long-term vision of that is for each thing each niche that we kind of create and train people on, we're committed to training to the level that we can, give you a national certification, and you can take that to the state for continuing education, or you can take it to the NAR. Now, it will take some time to get there, but that's the intent. So we're really focused on building quality tools and quality systems and training. And the more feedback we can get from you guys, the better off, the better the end result will be. So over the next few weeks, we'll be focusing on that. You guys should see a lot of, a more polished version of what we have, but also a lot of new ways to kind of get this into your business and learn more about it and train your teams.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great. And, I think the value of all of this is that we all bring certain skills to the game, and Chad and I are going to have a great time making sure that we build a wonderful technological solution for you. And obviously with the background and experience that Chad and Jim have in the real estate business and pure technology side and just general overall looking at the company like a business stuff, we've got a great team here, and we're excited about doing that. One other thing I'll also add, we have had some, depending on the county, where you are and where you are in the country and what's available from the docket in the court that you're in, previously we've had some issues with some of the content from a phone number standpoint not being what we wanted, and we heard from some folks who weren't getting what they expected or weren't getting the kind of results they wanted from some of the phone calls. So we went out and we've actually secured 2 additional sources now for augmenting our phone numbers, and we are getting up to 5 phone numbers now for all of the personal representatives. What we've added for them is a record search in multiple areas to pull not only the person or the best phone number that we can get as if it were coming from a white pages search from the phone company, but also pulling associates, known associates, and relatives of that person up to 5 phone numbers, so that we're going to give you a lot of folks to get in touch with if in fact the primary phone number that we give you for the personal representative doesn't reach them. We're going to give you some more. So your dialing for follow-up numbers are going to be significantly improved by doing that. And I think hopefully what you're getting out of this is we're doing a lot of good stuff to try to make the ball move faster for you down the field, and we're going to continue to do that. But we're kind of excited about getting that done, and our turnaround time on counties is faster and faster. So we appreciate it, and appreciate you being a customer. And Jim, that's about all I have. Lester,
I was just gonna add to the phone number piece, Tim. And I've had a lot of questions. People call me back about that. The information we get you from the tax records, the names and addresses, is close to 100% accurate as possible because it comes directly from the court records. A good percentage of the court records do not have phone numbers for the executors, so we have to go off and find that. Some of those numbers are fax numbers, some are landlines, some are cell phones, some are going to be disconnected. We had a couple cases this week where, like a common name, you're looking for John Jones in New York City. Well, one of our agents in Florida actually called and said, "Is this John Jones?" "Yes." Understand you inherited some property?" And he said, "No." And she said, "Well, the estate of," and he said, "I don't know who that person is." So what will happen, you will occasionally get someone else from the same area with the same name. So that doesn't really mean we got bad data. It just means we got you an extra phone number of somebody with the same name. So don't be concerned just because you're getting some disconnected phone numbers that the rest of the data, it's apples and oranges. It has nothing to do with the data that we get you directly from the courthouse. So it's like anything else. You're going to have to call all of those phone numbers, and a majority of the time, at least one of the phone numbers is going to reach the person. And that is, but no matter how good we try, no matter how many numbers we get you, you're not going to reach 100% of the people by phone. That's why it's so important that you send a letter and follow up with a phone call. That way you basically get 100% coverage. And Chad, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, but while we kind of finish up our finishing remarks, if anybody has a question or comment, hit *6. There we go. We got some questions already. Excellent. Okay, we've got one so far. Chad, did you have any follow-up comments or questions or anything else you want to add?
No, I think this is their call, and
all right.
Go ahead and open it up.
Excellent. I'll open it. Oh, one other thing I did want to mention, we've identified divorce. We've identified a couple other areas. If you guys have other areas that maybe we didn't think of that you think would be a good prospecting source, we're open not only for feedback, but we're open for suggestions because we've built quite a system here, and we want to get you guys as many different types of leads as we can and get you accurate information, all of them, and a way to make sure you turn those into listings. All right, so I'm going to open up the first question from area code 760. Hang on a second. Go ahead, fire away. Area code.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Who's this?
This is Jane Geisler. I'm in San Diego County,
Hey,
and
Jane.
I did my first mailing. And in reference to what Chad was talking about with the phone numbers, I haven't experienced the.
You there, Jane? Oh, great. She experienced, and then her phone got disconnected. Jade, we lost you. Call back in, Jade, please, and hit *6. I promise I didn't disconnect her, but she just disappeared. All right, let's try area code 518 while we wait for Jane to come back.
Okay, Jim, I've got to get off for a minute. I'll be back in a minute
right.
as well.
Thank you, Tim. Area code 518. Go ahead.
This is Brian from Albany, New York. How are you?
Okay. Hey, Brian, I hope you don't get disconnected. Go ahead. Ask your
No,
question.
I'll try to hang in there. Her
All
loss
right.
is my gain. So I'm on my second month of mailings and calls, and last month I got no leads out of it, a few maybe fishes to keep working on, but nothing solid. So I went ahead and I mailed everybody from this month, and I did a phone call for both months.
Okay.
And within 2 minutes of doing the 300 calls, I had 10 voicemails just bitching me out. I mean, people saying I'm like an ambulance chaser and my mom just died and I can't believe you'd call, and a lot of negative energy, and I'm running up against a lot of this. So, you know, I know we talked about the idea that we don't really want to have to, if one person calls me and says take my number off, that's a lot to have to manage, so I don't want to have to do that. So how do I balance this when people don't want to be bothered, they don't have property?
First of all, the good news is that you know, if they told you someone just died, you're reaching the right person. So, Chad, I know you've had that come up. You had somebody just bark at you, and I thought the way you diffused it was great.
Yeah. So, Brian, you mind sharing what your message said?
My pre-recorded message was I used the options letter, and then my call, which I did pre-recorded, and I did a live call. So if they pick up, they get the recorded message, or it goes into their voicemail. I didn't just do the voicemail one. And it was just a very casual, hi, this is Brian. I'm following up on my letter. If you've inherited some property, give me a call back, and I'd like to help you out with it.
Okay. One thing I would say, so your culture is more abrasive than most in the Northeast anyways, right? That's no secret. Okay. You may just try taking the inheritance out. So what we found that has worked really well is a really generic message. And what's worked best for me is, you know, hey, this is Chad. I sent you a letter last week. I just wanted to follow up and make sure you understood why we sent it and some of the value we can provide or the options we can provide. Give me a call back at 540 yada yada yada, and we'll see if there's any way we can help you with your real estate needs. That has, and I don't know what the trigger is. If the trigger is, you know, I think you might have inherited a property, or I know you inherited a property. There's some people just get set off, and you know, one of the things that, so if you can change the tone of the callback, maybe by taking the word inheritance out, they might not be as up, you know, on guard when they call. One thing that I notice, almost everybody is a little bit on guard when they call, and that's why I tell everybody you got to get clear on why you're doing this, know that you're doing it for the right reasons, and get really good at articulating value. So, you know, why do you do this? What options do you provide? And we try to roll that into one fluid statement that I call a probate USP. So, hey, well, listen, Brian, thanks for your call. I understand, you know, some people aren't real sure why we reach out. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do, and maybe you'll understand. So, we actually noticed that in my market, 77% of estate homes were expiring on MLS. So now we proactively reach out to families who inherit homes because we realize there's a better way. And we have, you know, a whole menu of services from, you know, helping you get the most amount of the personal property, get help cleaning the home out if you need, you know, to do repairs, or even if the situation calls for just a quick cash offer from one of our investors. There's a lot of different things we can do to help families. We don't always get paid for any of them, but it really starts with us understanding what your needs are, Brian, and the family, and then we can kind of make some suggestions. And maybe we work together, maybe we don't. But what we don't want is you know, you to think that, you know, we reached out and you know, we didn't mean to offend you in any way. we're really coming from the right place with this, and we see a better way to help people in your situation. By the way, Brian, you didn't say, is there a home in the estate that you guys would like to sell? And that question, I learned that question, like, I've done a lot of trial and error on this. And if you can end on a kind of an upbeat, open-ended question like that, it's amazing what happens over the next 5 seconds. Typically, it'll just be a silent line. They'll take a few seconds to process, and then they will unload on you in a positive way. You'll learn all about the situation, the family, the stress, what their mindset is. And then you start to build, well, at that point, you've already built rapport, and it just grows from there. And then, and what I teach everybody, like, don't try to talk about the house or the deceased last name. None of that matters. What matters is you build rapport with that person, no matter how defensive or abrasive they're being. Just flood them with value, get the conversation started, set an appointment, at least a tentative appointment, and then find out all the details about the house and the square footage and all that stuff. So try that, try to tweak your message a little bit. I mean, if you got that kind of a result, I would never use that message again. And that's kind of how we developed ours. We kept making little 2-degree changes until it got right, and that was that really generic message.
One last question on that. Should I be, none of us want to filter our lists from 3 months ago from some lady who says, take me off your list. But one of the people texted me back today and said, if I ever hear from you again, you're going to hear from my lawyer. So should I be going back and trying to sift out numbers that never call me again, or how do I manage that? Because if I'm going to be mailing and calling 3 months in a row, that could really irritate some people that don't want to be bothered at all.
Right. So I'll just tell you how I do it. With mailing, I'm not worried about it. There's no do not mail rules. So if someone calls and blasts me because I sent them a letter after I talked to them, I'm like, listen, we order mail in a sequence. And usually when someone says, take me off your list, I remind them, hey, you know what, we'll take care of that right now. You won't get any more phone calls. In the event that another letter comes, it's because we order mail in sequences. Just toss it in the trash, okay? And that usually heads that off, so you should never hear that. As far as the phone numbers go, that's the one thing that, so I use Top Producer as a CRM. So before we upload a call list, if you're using automated dialing, what I'll do is I'm pretty diligent about making sure that everyone I speak to is re-rated in my database. So everyone is marked as new until I speak with them. And then they either go to engage or future or active and Top Producer, or that's how the ratings work. So I know I've got a custom search that cuts out everything but new. So the only people that get my ringless voicemail are people that I haven't had two-way dialogue with. And that way, each month you're only speaking to the people who haven't called and done business with you, or called and tell you they're never going to do business with you. So that's how we keep ours clean. Are you using a CRM, or how do you keep track of it?
No. I mean, at this point, I've just been doing the phone calls. Anybody who calls me back, I let them all go to voicemail. And then if there's a lead to work there, I call them back, and I just manually track them from there.
Okay. So if you don't want to use, a full-blown CRM or database, you can. There's a video on the Facebook page that I made for one of our clients. So if you go to you're in the Facebook Mastermind group?
Yeah, I've looked at that Google Sheets CRM.
So you can use that and just add a column for letter 1, 2, and 3, and phone call 1, 2, and 3, and then add a column for rating. And you can rate them as, hot, warm, cold, lost. And anytime someone says, listen, you need to take me off your list, I would just go down to, just right-click on the row and delete the row. And then you can never mess up and call the wrong person. Or you could just delete their phone number so you can't ever call it again. Well, however it works for you, but I would use something like that, just a really simple, CRM tool to track who you've made contact with and who you haven't. So the next time you make calls, you just copy and paste all the ones that are still rated as new.
Hey, Brian,
okay.
We've got a call from Austin, Texas. I wanted to share one other thing with you just real quickly. In my previous life as a coach, we went through a lot of NLP training, and I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of matching and mirroring, but there's nothing more annoying to a depressed person than a happy person. So when, hey, this is Brian, how can I help you today? Oh, my relative just died. You want to try to bring yourself down to their talking style, and you always want to be a little more excited than them, but you don't want to be Mr. Happy Realtor if they're obviously in a bad mood. You want to be in a little bit better mood than they are. The same thing works if you get somebody with a strong accent. I swear I've copied people's accents, and nobody catches you doing it. I mean, you're making fun of me. All they know
Can you copy my accent, Jim?
Probably not. I talk too fast to do Southern, but I could probably if I worked on it. But just also work on your maybe your message is just throwing them off. So when you really listen to how they're communicating when they call, and try to maybe match and mirror them a little bit better. And if they talk real slow, talk slow. If they're kind of down, come down a little bit. And you slowly can bring them. You got to build rapport, like Chad said, first before they're going to listen to anything you have to say. So anyway, thank you, Brian, for great questions. I'm going to go ahead and somebody from looks like Austin, Texas, has been patiently waiting. Let me put them on next. All right, 512 area code. I think that's Austin, correct?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, but you do not have a good connection. You don't have us on a
Yeah, here we go.
Okay, much better. Go ahead. Who is this?
Hi, this is Blaine, and actually in San Antonio. But I was wondering, the FCC just last week kind of clamped down on calling cell phones and texts and things, and I'm all geared up to do it. And I wanted to talk to you guys and see if you had seen those rulings that just came out a few weeks ago, and what's your attitude or response to that is.
Tim, are you aware of what he's talking about, or Chad?
Yeah, I'm aware of this. There are what they're trying to do is make sure that you can put cells on the DNC list and all of that sort of stuff. The same kind of issue. Here's the problem, and here's the issue that you have to understand. These people that are on this are part of a public record, and they are available as the personal representative of a person who's passed away. And as a person who is in the business that is dealing with what they're dealing with, you have a reason to call them. And, I'm certainly not an attorney and don't play one on TV, but I think the thing that you need to be aware of is that they are representing that person in a public legal matter. Therefore, they have to be willing to accept telephone calls in regard to what's going on with that property. And if you potentially have a buyer for that property, you have no alternative other than to call them. So you're within your right and reason to do so if you choose to. Now, that's my opinion. I'm not going to argue the legal ramifications of it, and that's certainly something if you're concerned about, you may want to talk to somebody else about that. But I think you're going to find anybody that you talk to. I'm going to go back to what Chad said. They're not going to be angry with you if you express it in that way, that I'm reaching out to you because you are that personal representative. And I'm going to have to hop back off, but that's about the best I can tell you right now.
Hey, Blade, I'll add something to that. I would certainly reiterate, follow your law, check with your broker. We're not attorneys. When I coached way back in the dark ages when they came out with these do not call lists, everybody was terrified of the $10,000 fine from the FCC. I actually had one of my coaching clients got a letter from the FCC that said, we had a report that you are calling someone on the do not call list. We don't have the manpower to investigate individual complaints, but if you're doing so, please stop. that was the slap on the wrist he got for it. I think Tim gave the better answer.
That was a great answer, and I think you're okay with rationale.
And secondly, even if somebody does complain, if you come from a good intention and you're trying to accomplish something, I think you're going to be fine. So, but it's a good question. Guys, we have great call today. Everybody's going to go away without having a headache. We didn't have all that background noise. We had a great turnout. We've got another 5 minutes. Does anybody else have a question? If you have a question, just hit *6 and get in the queue. Pete Thorpe, if you're on the line, Pete, I would love for you to pipe in. Let me mute him out. All right. If Pete, you guys can hear me, right, Chad? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. We had an agent this week, Pete, that went out on a listing, and he said there was 12 letters. Maybe that's Pete coming in right now. Let me see if that's him. Hang on. Pete, is that you?
This is Felicia in Chicago.
Oh, hey, hang on just one second, Felicia. Let me unmute you. Okay. Let me finish the story, and then, Felicia, I'll let you ask your question. But we had an agent go out, and the people had like 12 letters from investors, and he was the only realtor that contacted them. And he said it was pretty much a slam dunk when he told them that he could get them at least $40,000 higher than any of the offers that these investors had sent. So I thought that was encouraging. Since he wasn't here to tell the story, I will. And Felicia, you're up next. Go ahead. What question do you have? Felicia, you there? Area code 847, Felicia? Doggone it. Felicia got disconnected. There we go. There, she's back. Okay. Felicia?
Hello?
You there?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Follow Up Boss, which is a system that I use. Can we update or upload the numbers into that system?
Did you hear that, Chad?
So yeah, when your leads come, they're going to come to you two different ways. You can get them. So you can download them from the email the moment that they're available. You can also always log into the members area of the website and download them there. Either way, they're going to download as a CSV spreadsheet. So, and that's the common format that you would use to import into any database. So wherever, if you go to contacts, import, browse to wherever you save that list on your desktop, and then just map the fields to wherever you want the numbers to go. What we typically do is we're going to put, when we put them into the top producer, we'll map the personal representative goes in as the primary contact, and then we put all the phone numbers in, whether there's one or three or five, we just put them into whatever slot, because we never know which is which. So you put them in his mobile office, yada yada, and then anything that won't, because you're going to have data that's not really made. A real estate database isn't really made for things like the deceased first and last name, the date of death, the date of the probate filing. What we do is put all that stuff into the notes field. So when you pull up, once you've done that import, for when you're in a dialer session or a prospecting session, as soon as you pull up the record, you see the executor's name, all their phone numbers, and then the notes, everything else that was in the spreadsheet, the attorney's name, phone number, the date of the death, the filing, all that stuff is right there in front of you. So that's how we do it.
Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. One more question from, it looks like, I think 760. I think that's Georgia. Let me put you up next. Georgia, congratulations. You've got the last question of the day. So we saved the best question for last, right?
Okay, but can I change my name?
No, I think you're in Georgia from your area code.
Oh, no, I'm in California. So.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought that
Stop trying to be smart, Jim. It's not working.
I outsmarted myself. I thought that was a Georgia area code. Sorry about that. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jane Geisler. I started my question and then got disconnected.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jane, for coming back.
Yeah. So I did my first mailing, and I'm now receiving responses. So this is purely a mailing and has nothing to do with the phone numbers. But the two calls I've gotten back have both been upset and said that they haven't inherited a property. They don't know what we're talking about, and they don't know why we're contacting them. So right. I wondered if anybody else had an issue with, the person of record maybe being the wrong person.
No,
I've never seen that in my own. Was it But even if it was a very common name, it should have come from the court records, and I guess the court records are not infallible. But
well, let me ask a different question, Jane. When you talked to them, did they say? In other words, I'll just give you an example. You were calling to speak to John Smith, who's the name that's on your lead. Did they identify themselves as John Smith, but say that he was not a personal representative in a probate? Was that what they told you, or you didn't reach John Smith?
They actually called me, so they were calling from my letter and said, "You sent me this letter. I don't know why you sent it to me. Nobody has died. I haven't inherited anything." And they're really angry. And at the time, I have to call them back. But at the time, I was with a client in the car. So it's great
Sure,
when
no, I understand.
It's great when this call comes over your phone system in the car. So I said I'd call them back. So I have to call them back. But that's what I have is this angry person who says
I understand.
that my information is wrong. So.
All right, but you at this point you don't know for sure if the person who's calling you back is the addressee on your letter, only that person got the letter. What I'm trying to do, we're trying to look at it from a quality control standpoint. If you can find out if the person who called you is indeed John Smith, who is the person that shows up as the personal representative for someone who's passed away, that's one thing. If the letter just went to the wrong address or something like that, we need to know that. So anything you can do to find quality, give us some quality control help. We'll certainly sort it out on our end, and we'll take a look and make sure you're getting the right data, because we want to be all over it. But you got to give us a little more data, and we'll be glad to get on it and fix it for you, if there's anything to fix.
And I not only got Georgia wrong, but I lied. We have one more question, and I know this one's from California, 619 area code. This is going to have to be the last of the day, guys. We try to keep this right at a half hour.
Stop talking then.
All right, last call of the day. Make it a good one. Area code 619.
Hey, Jim, it's Diana Gavin. Jane and I actually work together, and I'm...
Hey, welcome, Diana.
Hi, I'm piggybacking on what she just said. She is accurate, but I did get to speak with this client that called in yesterday from our letters, and he was very upset, and here's the question I need. I actually got the truth out of him when I spoke with them for 2 hours. What happened? Okay. He is actually the executor of the estate. His girlfriend had misinformed me. He is the executor of the estate. He has power of attorney over his mother. His mother has not yet deceased. However, he's having problems with his brothers. They went down and filed something, and it's in his brother's name because they got the letter for his brother, but they are not. So what did they do? How did they do this? That's what I need to know, because I have to get back with them.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's the old garbage in, garbage out. If you put bad information in there, or you don't put good information in, you got to go with what you got.
They filed probate on the father or on the mother?
The mother. That his brother.
Before she actually passed away.
Pardon?
Before she passed away.
She hasn't even passed away yet. She's in a home.
That reminds me of your rumor of my death has been greatly exaggerated. Somebody said that.
Here's part of the problem. In California Superior Court, you have an interesting court system out there, and I used to live in California, so I know a little bit about that. And one of the challenges that you have out there is that there are pre-probate filings where actually a will is entered in a court record, and ever so often a will that's entered in a court record, of course, this sounds like a family mess, but that will, because it's a superior court filing in California, will get misclassified as a probate and indicate a deceased. But the question I have is, on your leads, when you looked at them, did it show a date of probate or date of death on it? Do you have any of that data at all to indicate that, it's indicating that the person actually died? I mean, I get the problem. I understand that. We can't probably fix that, but just interesting info.
I'm looking at the CSV file right now, and I really can't find it because it's not by alphabetical order. Okay. And I need to look at the address. But that was my question. Thank you, because my real question is, because I have to get back with these lovely people, because he will eventually need us. And with
and I think part of it, the good news is that you probably didn't do a bad thing. You probably developed a good rapport with the customer, even though, and I'm glad to know that there's at least an appropriate connection. But the other thing I was going to say is, I've been doing selling a long time, and oftentimes when you call someone and they're angry about something, and Chad is extremely good at this, so is Jim, about turning that into a positive. And even though they may not have inherited anything, it's a great opportunity to be able to say, look, I'm not doing anything other than doing my job and all of that, but if there's anything I can do to make it up to you by bothering you. I'd be happy to do that. Do you have any property? Do you know anybody? Go back into your normal program there and just show them that you're just being a professional. And people generally are not going to be angry with you if you're doing your job, doing it correctly.
Yeah, we've clarified that point. I mean, we have a great
I'm
report.
sure you did. Yeah, I'm sure you did. This is really for everybody else on here. I didn't mean you. I know you do.
Guys, thank you. Go ahead.
Jim,
Diane, another comment?
I just need one answer.
Sure.
I realize we have a family mess here. The will that says someone can file a pre-probate even though they're not the executor.
It's not a pre-probate. I'm saying prior to probate, people can file a will with the court so that it's on record. And I know that there have been cases in California where somebody has filed a will and they're actually putting it in, and they really are trying to get in front of the probate, and they will, unfortunately, if it's entered incorrectly, that can create a horrible legal mess. So you really need this person. If they are the person who is going to be named the executor of their mother's estate, they need to get with their own attorney, and you need to back away and say, look, this is what we know. It's possible that this happened. I'm not an attorney. Don't play one on TV. Don't know anything about this. But I would recommend, trying to help you here, I would recommend you talk to your attorney and find out why this court docket shows that you are the personal representative of this, and it indicates that your mother's already deceased, because we're working off of a legal document in the state of California entered in Superior Court. So you need to help them out by giving them that data.
Okay, thanks. That's all I need.
That's a perfect example of why one of the key positions we recommend on your probate team, like the people you surround yourself with, is a really, really solid attorney who understands this process in your state and can handle the drama that's going to happen in that situation. So, obviously the family dynamic went down the drain when they discovered this, and as the story unravels, it's only going to get worse. And you can layer in so much value if you can say, listen, this specific attorney is a master at this. That's going to reinforce your value, and once it does get straightened out, you're going to be the only realtor in the world that they even care exists. And it's so, and just what Tim said, anytime the phone rings, even if it's a problem, our job is to, as real estate experts, to understand the situation, provide value in any way we can. So anytime the phone rings, even if they are mad or abrasive up front, look at that as an opportunity and take it as a challenge and just meet it head on and turn that ship around for them, and they turn in the listing so easily. Once you've really proven that you're coming from the right place and you're doing the right things and reached out, even though they're in a bad situation, a bad place right then, if you can just show them that listen, I'm going to help you through this, I'm going to guide you, and you can use my attorney, my contractors, and all these different people, then they're going to be, guess who their realtor is for life. So anyway.
Great call today, guys. Apologize for going to overtime, but thank you so much for your input. I think we determined this is a better format for the call. We were able to communicate. You guys asked some great questions. You guys go out and have a great Independence Day, and we appreciate your dedication, your fact that you're showing up, and let's all get financially independent by keep on pursuing these leads next year and in the future. And please come to the call next week. Go out there and create some success stories and come back and share them with the group next week. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Thank you for showing up. Have a great one. Take care.